So you've decided to try chanting meditation. You've heard it can bring a sense of peace and focus. But you've probably run into a really common, really frustrating problem. The moment you try to get quiet, your mind decides to throw a massive party. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and look at a super simple, effective way to find that quiet center you're looking for.
Does this sound familiar? You sit down, you're all set for some peace, and then, bam, you're suddenly thinking about your to-do list, what you're going to have for dinner, or that really awkward thing you said back in 2005. I mean, where does it all come from? If this is you, trust me, you are definitely not alone. This is the exact issue so many people run into.
Okay, let's just dive right into the struggle. The very first thing you need to understand is that this experience, it is not a sign that you're failing at meditation. Not at all. In fact, it might just be the complete opposite.
Yeah, you heard that right. A mind that's buzzing with a million thoughts the second you sit down to chant is perfectly, 100% normal. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means, you're human.
And this brings us to a really crucial shift in how we look at this. We tend to treat our thoughts like they're the enemy of meditation, right? They're the bad guy we have to fight off. But what if they aren't? What if they're actually a key part of the whole process?
There's this really helpful concept called the ordinary person. It basically defines a person as someone who is naturally full of afflictions. Now, that sounds pretty heavy, I know, but all it really means is that our default setting, our mental factory settings, is to have a wandering, distracted mind. So these thoughts aren't some kind of invasion, they're just the baseline state of our mind. And here is the big aha moment. Before you sit down to meditate, your mind is already this chaotic. You're just usually too busy running around to really notice it. When you try to be quiet, you're not creating the chaos, you're just pulling back the curtain and finally seeing what's been going on in there all along. So if you think about it that way, noticing more thoughts is actually a sign of progress. It means you're developing the awareness to see the natural state of your mind. So in a way, your practice is working exactly like it's supposed to. All right, so now that we get the why behind the busy mind, let's get practical and move on to the how. How do we actually work with this? Well, believe it or not, the whole process starts with the body.
The entire technique really boils down to just two key ideas: relax and quiet. That's it. That's the foundation. See, the goal isn't to force or fight your mind into submission. It's all about releasing tension and just allowing it to settle.
So what does this actually look like? First, find a comfortable upright posture. We're not talking about being rigid as a board, just stable. Second, relax completely. Don't grip or tense up your muscles. Once you're sitting, just let your body go. And finally, you entrust your mind to the chant. Your only job is to focus on one single phrase at a time.
And here are a few extra tips for you. If you feel any tingling or pressure, that's totally normal. It's usually just your circulation improving. And the golden rule here is simple. Don't force it. If a posture is really uncomfortable, just adjust it. Also, keeping your knees warm and especially keeping your eyes closed can be a huge help. It reduces all that visual input and gives your mind way less to latch onto.
Okay, so once the body is relaxed, we can turn to some active mental techniques. Think of these as little tools you can use to gently guide your focus back when it inevitably starts to wander. But what about this classic problem? You've relaxed your body, you're trying to focus, but now you're either getting really sleepy or your thoughts are still racing a mile a minute. What do you do then? Well, there's a very simple and incredibly effective solution. Chant out loud. I know, it might sound almost too simple, but when you physically open your mouth and make a sound, it brings a whole new energy to the practice. It can cut right through that drowsiness and give a scattered mind a really clear, solid anchor to hold on to.
Now the key here is clarity. Don't just mumble. Enunciate each word clearly and really listen to the sound of your own voice. The goal is to unite your mind and your voice into a single point of focus.
Another great tool is the 10 recitation counting method. As you chant each phrase, you simply note in your mind what number it is in the sequence, 1, 2, all the way to 10. You're not actually counting numbers out loud, you're just aware of where you are in the sequence. This gives your mind a simple job, which makes it much harder for it to drift off.
And hey, don't get stuck on the number 10. The form is super flexible. The point isn't the number itself, it's the focus. You can break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks, like counting in sets of 3, 3, 4, or maybe sets of 5. You just have to find the rhythm that works for you, whatever keeps your mind engaged without feeling stressed.
So, we've covered the why, the physical posture, and a few mental techniques.
Now, let's bring it all together with the single most important principle to remember in your practice.
This right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. Thoughts will come. That is not the problem. The real challenge, the real thing to watch out for, is when you forget your chanting, grab onto one of those thoughts, and just let it carry you away. So don't fear the thoughts themselves, just learn not to follow them down the rabbit hole.
So when a thought appears, what do? You simply return your focus to the chant. One more phrase, and then one more after that. No fighting with yourself, no judging, just gently and patiently coming back, over and over again. Every time you do this, you strengthen your focus. The question isn't whether you can stop all thoughts, but whether you can learn to let them pass by,